start our lecture on hydraulic system of tractor. So, the generally hydraulic system plays a very important role in a tractor to raising and lowering the implements. And you can see in a diagram of this tractor, the hydraulic system provided to the 3-point linkage. There is provided a 3-point linkage in the tractor. With the help of that 3-point linkage, we raise and lowering the implements. Okay, so it is help to use that 3-point link to raising and lowering the our equipment. This is the lower links, you can see here that lower links, and one is the top links. Okay, with the help of this lower and top links, we can raise and lower the agriculture implements. Okay, now the basic principle of the hydraulics. First, a liquid have to have no share of their own. First, you can see the basic principle of the hydraulics. First, the liquid have no shape of their own. So where it is poured in any part, it get their shapes. So liquid have no shape of their arm. Another one, the liquids are practically incompressible, so we cannot compress the liquid. Okay, if you want to compress, what happen? There is create the pressure in throughout that liquid, and it is perpendicular to the surface of the container. Third, Pascal's law: liquid transmit the applied pressure in all directions. So again, the liquid provide and create in case of the pressure, it transmit we can see the liquid transmit the applied pressure in all directions when you put the pressure on a liquid, and it transmit that pressure to in all direction. And second, how the hydraulic system works. So you can see here the basic hydraulic system has two basic parts. One is you can see here the pump. It's called the hydraulic pump. Another is called the cylinder or master cylinder. When we apply the pressure on that liquid, what happens? That pressure is transmitted to the that surface of the container. So we apply the load here on that. What happens? That load is raised with the help of the high pressure liquid. So you can see the hydraulic system with the reservoir and check valves. This is the reservoir, and you can see here the check valves, and this is the handles, and this is the check valves. Okay, so when we use that reservoir or oil pressure with the help of the check valves, we can use that the valve is operated with the help of that lever. So it increase that pressure in the air to reservoir. It take that when we operate that lever, and it create the pressure on that high pressure oil, and it help to raise the weight. So hydraulic system of the relief valve and a double acting cylinder. You can see here the hydraulic pressure. This is the reservoir and this is the pump. When we apply that oil pump, you can see here this is the relief valve. When the high pressure is relieved through that relief valve, and you can see here the this is the master cylinder, and this is the control valve, hydraulic system with relief valve and double acting cylinder. So what happens actually in the working of the hydraulic, you can show in the figure that the system you can see it contains the basic component like reservoir, then pumps, relief valve and control valve. This is a control valve. You can see this is a control valve and cylinder. This is the cylinder and filter or strainer use for that. Okay. Now the you can see this reservoir. It contains the sufficient oil to move the piston for lifting the load. And you can see here it is a load, and we uh, this is the when we raise the or lifting the load. Now the pump here, hydraulic pump, it is force the fluid from the reservoir to the cylinder. Then relief valve, it protect the system from high pressure, and the valve is set for slightly higher than uh, uh, that is the slightly higher than the working pressure. And in case the pressure increases behind the working pressure, the relief valve opens and allowing the fluid to pass onto the reservoir. And when the piston reaches the extreme position, the relief valve opens to bypass the oil, isn't it? So control valve, you can see here that control valve. The control valve is used to allow the operator to direct the flow of the liquid the pump, either from the pump to the cylinder or from the cylinder to the. You can see that it is get back to the reservoir. And the cylinder, you can see cylinder is the convert that hydraulic power to the mechanical power for doing the various jobs. Now, however, to get the further acquainted with the working, let us take the example of the hydraulic system fitted on a Scott tractors known as the manual draft control, and the operation control lever is fitted on the right hedge positions to the lift and flow that. Okay. So, dear student, you know that the hydraulic system works on the principle of the Pascal's law. So the pressure applied to a liquid in a closed container is transmitted with the equal intensity throughout the liquid and at the right angle to the surface of the container. Okay. Now the hydraulic system, I already talked about that the hydraulic pump, hydraulic cylinder, piston, hydraulic tank, control valve, safety valve, hose pipe and fittings and lifting arms. These are the main component. First is the hydraulic pumps is the heart of the hydraulic system, and there are different types of the pump used in a hydraulic system, dear student. uh, so pump is the mechanical device which increases the pressure energy of the liquid, and the lifting of the water is done with the help of the rotodynamic, that means the centrifugal pump, jet pump or turbines. But these pumps cannot be successfully used in handling the oil because of the limitations of the low pressure and of course the high discharge volume. Therefore, in the field of the hydraulic, the positive displacement pumps are used, and positive displacement pump uh, that can be categorized into the reciprocating pumps. Okay, then rotary pumps. So you can see here the hydraulic pumps in the heart of the hydraulic. There are variable displacement pump and fixed displacement pump. So you can see here the that is the pump generally used for this is the main qualities of the fixed displacement pump is used in pressure drop and increase in volume, and it is pressurized in a volume. Okay. Now, but in case of the variable displacement pump, means the pressure drop, volume. You can see here it is the pressure change, but volume are constant. But in case of the variable displacement pump, you can see here the volume is changed and pressure is also changed. Okay. Though the reciprocating pumps are most efficient. Uh, I'm let's do talking about the gear pumps. But though the reciprocating pumps are most efficient in hydraulic system, and this is they require the lot of space and hence are not found in suitable for the hydraulic for mobile machine. And the rotary pumps resemble in appearance in to centrifugal pump, but differs in action. And the rotary pumps may be the constant flow pump, that is the gear pump, screw pump, vane pump, and radial piston pumps, or variable flow pumps, that is the axial piston and radial piston. The constant flow pump will deliver the same volume of oil for the given speed. The rate of flow will change with the change in speed. And in hydraulic system fitted with the constant flow pump, when the piston of the cylinder reaches the dead end or when the spool valve is brought to the control to neutral position, and the oil delivered by the pump is delivered to the reservoir either through the relief valve or spool valve. And in the case of the variable flow pump, the volume of the oil can be changed even at the same speed. And these pumps supply oil only when it is needed. And when the piston of the cylinder reaches the dead end or the spool valve is put to neutral, the pump stops the delivering the further oil. The rate of flow is governed by the pressure sensing device of the pump. At the present, most of the Indian tractors are fitted with the gear pump, but Ford 3600 is an example with an axial piston pump. Okay, now the axial piston pumps, in which the pistons travel is parallel to the axis of the pump, is called as the axial piston pump. So, dear student, I'm talking about the gear pumps. You can see here the gear pumps are used in a track most of the hydraulic systems. You can see here this is the inlet and the oil come through that inlet, and due to the opposite rotation of that internal that gears, it moves in opposite direction and it pressurizes that hydraulic oil and it is delivered to the outlet. So another is the rotary pump, dear students. That is rotary vane pumps. We can say it's the rotary vane pumps. And the vane pumps consist of the rotor disc having the numbers of slot. You can see here the numbers of rotating that inlet. And it consists of the rotor disc having number of slot into it onto which it fits sliding the blades or vanes, and the rotor turns in a casting which force the eccentric to driving shaft. The vanes are free to slide the radially with the help of the spring and to form the required seal between the suction and discharge. Okay, so you can see this is the vane pump. The vane pump consists of the rotor. You can see here the rotor disc having the numbers of slot into which the fit the slides blades of the vanes. You can see in the figure the rotor turns in a casing which is bore eccentric to the driving shaft. The vanes are fixed to slide the radially with the help of the springs and thus form the required seal between the suction and discharge connection. And when the rotor turns, the liquid flows in between its side and casting and is trapped by the vanes which force it from the inlet to the discharge. And generally the trapped by the vanes which is force it from the inlet to the discharge. Generally, the vane pump is considered the somewhat superior to the gear pump in terms of the capability, and it usually withstand a little more pressure, deliver a little higher efficiency, and cost a little more, and it has a good contamination resistance. When new, because of the contaminated fluid is easily swept from the inlet to the outlet, and anywhere of the vane tips can be accommodated by the further extension. When the vane is fully extended, any further wear can result in a catastrophic failure of the pump as the vane slip out the rotor. This is the axial piston pump. I am talking about that axial piston pump. You can see in the diagram. There are two types of the pump. One is the axial piston pump and another is the radial piston pumps. So, dear student, the pump in which the pistons travel is a parallel to the axis of the pump. Okay, you can see here that this is the fixed angle. This is shaft, and you can see the cylinder bore. Okay, this is the axial piston pump. That means you can see in the figure the pump to which the piston travel in parallel to the pistons travel in parallel to the axis of the rotation. It's called as the axial piston pump. And to understand the operation, we will discuss the pump fitted on a Ford. And the pump uses the 6 axial pistons, all of which complete a pumping cycle for each revolution of the pump shaft. And the pump piston, which are moved back and forth in their cylinder in the horizontal plane, are actuated by a plate, an offset at a fixed angle and possessing a cam action. And this plate is known as the obel plate. This plate is known as the obel plate or swash plate. A strong spring forces each pistons against the obel plate and thus providing the positive return at all the times. And the rotation of the obel plate causes the piston to suck oil from the oil reservoir. During the suction strokes, oil enters the cylinder and gets trapped. The obel plate is so designed that its action, the forces each piston in turns down its respective cylinder, that directing the trapped oil to go out of the outlet valve. And the pump in which the piston travel in a perpendicular. This is the axial. You can see axial piston pumps again. Now the radial piston pump in which the piston travel in a perpendicular to the pump axis is known as the radial piston pump. And to understand the operation as per the pump fitted on a tractor, it consists of the two piston yokes which ride on a cam blocks over the eccentric on a camshaft, and the piston two on each yoke, they reciprocating into opposite cylinder called the valve chambers, and each chambers having a two inlet and outlet valve and springs front and rear. The casting incorporate the oil galleries that connecting the two valve chambers and house of the control valve at the rear. And as each of the piston moves down the cylinder, it creates the suction which lift the inlet valve from its seat and drawn in oil past the control valve. You open along intake gallery onto the cylinder. Okay. You can see there are different types of the hydraulic valve used in tractors. that hydraulic valve is never complete without the valves. Okay, hydraulic system never complete without the valve. These valves vary in a shape and function. So, but the control this circuit by regulating the pressure, direction, and volume of the oil flow. And based on their function, they can be divided into the categories like the pressure control valve, then directional control valve, and volume control valve. So you can see how the pressure control valve is operate. You can see in the first diagram, that spring get extended and that valve close that inlet. Okay, with the help of that ball. But what happen when pressure increase? That put on the ball and it spring get compressed and the flow is passing through that the surrounding that wall. This is called as the pressure control wall. So pressure control valves. These are the spring-loaded valves and are provided in the hydraulic circuit either as a relief valve or the safety valves. And whenever the pressure in this circuit reaches the maximum value, either due to any internal clogging or due to excessive load on the system, the spring of the valve get compressed and release the pressure and protecting the circuit from the mechanical damage. Now second is the directional control valve. Among the variety of the directional control valve, that it is maybe the check valve, rotary valve or spool valve. Only spool valve are found on the most of the Indian tractors and they may be open center type or closed center type. Okay. The open center type of direction control valve are always prepared in a hydraulic circuit with constant flow pump, so that even in a neutral position of the valve, oil has a way back to the reservoir. And closed center valves are used along with the variable flow pump, so that when the valve in a neutral, the discharge of the pump diminishes to zero. The directional control valve that is are manually operated through the levers available on the outside of the tractor. A near easy approach of the operators. Almost all indigenous tractors have their control levers on the right hand side of the operators. Now next is the volume control valve. These are the ordinary clock type or needle type or gate type used to cut off the divert the flow from the hydraulic circuit, and the lifting needs of the hydraulic cylinder is regulated through the such valves. Now this is the relief valve. Okay, this is pressure control valve. You can see in a closed condition, and this is the open condition. This is the operation of the relief showing the pressure override. So this is the the another important part of that system is the that is the I guess that it means the cylinder. So there are two types of this cylinder, that is a single acting and double acting. This is a single acting and one is the double acting. And in modern training tractors is towards to inbuild the hydraulic system under which a single acting cylinder is used. Some of the tractors are also available in which the double acting hydraulic cylinder are fitted outside. The hydraulic of the tractor can be used for doing external work through the scraper, tipping trailer dozer blades by attaching the single acting or double acting cylinder. So different component of the cylinder in case of the single acting, and the oil is pumped into the cylinder forcing the piston outward. When controlling the valve is put to neutral, the oil remains trapped without any movement of the piston. As a result of which the load remains pitted when the controlling the valve is moved to the other side, and it trap the oil get away to the sun. And in single acting cylinder, the weight on the piston returns it And whereas in the case of the double acting cylinder, the hydraulic oil pressure act on both sides of the pistons. So this is the ram type of cylinder. You can see here the it is called the hydraulic ram type of cylinder. So hydraulic the another one is the you can see the hydraulic systems, how to control the implement with the help of the hydraulic system. Now hydraulic steering, you can see here the hydraulic system also used in a steering. You can see here the this is called the steering wheels. Hmm. This is the that is the right side, and one another wall is the left side. So you can see here the reservoir pumps. When we rotate that steering wheel, so we operate the control valve and we flow that the one side, and the pressure increase to the one side, and automatically here rack and pinion and steering cylinder is attached to here, so it moves that the cylinder to the one side and will increase the pressure, so it rotates the wheel of the tractor with the help of the hydraulic system. So you can see how here the work as the hydraulic system, we see in a detail regarding the steering systems. Now you know the hydraulic brakes works on the again on the basis of the hydraulic system we already discussed the last times. Now what are the advantage of the hydraulic systems? What are the disadvantage of the hydraulic systems? So dear student, you can see here the advantage of the hydraulic is a very compact and powerful. It is the easy prevention of the overload. It continuous speed when change, and it remote control the when it is possible. So what are the disadvantage of the hydraulic system? It difficult to pipe connection, sometime leakage of the oil, and high power consumption, and affected by the high temperature. Okay, dear student, we am going to stop here, and remaining part we will see in the tomorrow's lectures. Okay, so dear student.